You know, you've heard the term civil rights icons. There's so many. You hear Norman say, Percy Green. Well, we name our own icons. And today we have one of those civil rights icons with us today. Percy Green is my guest on The Bernie Hayes Show. Welcome back. My guest is Percy Green. Percy, welcome. How you doing?
Oh, I'm from Fair to Midland.
Fair to Midland. But you're still active. You're still as active as,
yes.
when I call you, anytime I call you, you're in some meeting or you're meeting with somebody or about to go to a meeting. So you're still doing your thing.
Oh, yes. I'm still active. And I think I will remain active until the end.
Yeah. They usually associate Percy Green with climbing the arch, but you've done so many other things. You've led so many other demonstrations, so many other protests. Civil disobedience has been the thing. How did you choose civil disobedience, Percy, to make social change?
Well, I chose civil disobedience. As a matter of fact, I came into learning about civil disobedience as a result of being a participant in the Jefferson Bank protest in 1963. And then, of course, I realized the effectiveness of it as a means of communicating to the community, that something is wrong in the community by way of the disruption by utilizing civil disobedience, and also realizing the pressure that it puts on the adversary.
Mm-hmm. You Wonder Bread, the Clede gas, Jefferson Bank, you climb halfway up the arch. And people don't realize how many jobs you've created for African Americans and the community at large. Do you feel a sense of pride that do they talk about that often to you, Percy?
Well, I mean, some of the beneficiaries, some of the people that I have to come in contact with, sometime they remind me, or at least they share with me that they had received a good paying job as a result of the protest. But bear in mind that the purpose of those demonstrations back then, we're talking about in the early 60s, was more and better paying jobs for black males.
Right.
We put the emphasis on black males because we felt as if, at least during that particular time, that the concept was that the male was the chief breadwinner. And we saw that it was lacking. The black male was not the chief breadwinner in the black community. So therefore, we felt as if that we wanted to neutralize or eliminate that strategy by racist institution by way of shedding some light on that and then putting the emphasis on jobs for black males. We also wanted to point out the fact that you don't have to be a college graduate to do most of these particular jobs and be paid a decent salary. And so that's why we went after the utilities, the telephone company, the gas company, the electric company. Most of those jobs, the overwhelming majority of them, at least then and possibly even now, you don't have to be a PhD in order to perform those jobs and then be paid a decent salary. So that was our battle cry at that particular time. More and better paying jobs for black males.
So when you see a telephone lineman now, when you see a Clede gas person taking the accounts, do you feel any sense of pride behind that?
Personally? Well, I'm glad to see them because at that particular time, there weren't any, because they felt as if that black males was a liability. As a matter of fact, the president of Southwestern Bell and Clede both felt as if that black men going into white homes would create a problem in providing services. I mean, that was the so-called reason that they used then not to allow for blacks to move into those particular jobs. But as we applied the pressure by disrupting services, disrupting their services, meaning the phone company, we carried on all kinds of demonstrations, blocking traffic in front of their companies, disrupting services inside of their offices, and et cetera. They saw a need that it was better for them to hire some blacks in those particular positions rather than for us to continue to disrupt their services.
Right. But you seem to be unafraid. You challenged the veiled prophet. You changed that status of the veiled prophet here in St. Louis, and you challenged McDonnell Douglas aircraft. That's a lot of nerve, Percy Green.
Well, I mean, we felt as if that, Action at the time, Action, of course, was a protest organization.
Yeah.
And Action felt as if that, well, since we were committed to go to jail and by way of engaging in civil disobedience, then it ought to be about a large number of jobs or whatnot, We should not, Jefferson Bank, I mean, we carried 19 people went to jail, spent a lot of time in jail. And even though we did a tremendous overall good, but we were only demanding 4 jobs at Jefferson Bank at the time, 4 teller jobs. And so at the time that we developed Action, we felt as if that for the effort that we put forth, our demand should be much greater. And therefore, when we took on Southwestern Bell, they had 6,000 employees. The population of the black community at that time was 10%. Consequently, we demanded 600 jobs. And of course, we wanted those jobs in the area of telephone installers, linemen, and et cetera. They were good paying jobs and whatnot. They were far beyond that of the minimum wages. And so therefore we had black men being allowed to benefit from those. Well, first of all, they had to be hired and be retained on these particular jobs. Black families, a black male would have been able to provide for his family. And then at the same time, had you had a sufficient number of black men that had jobs in this area, then it would have reduced the level of aid to dependent children, right. Black females being on welfare. You
still celebrating the anniversary of the Jefferson Bank protests. Recently just had another one. Did Action itself come out of CORE?
Yes.
Tell us about that.
Action came right after the Jefferson Bank in 1963, August of 1963. So about 6 months later, we had a dispute within the organization about protest tactics.
Yeah.
Saul Alinsky was in Chicago doing the community action, and some of our members, active members at the time, became battle fatigue, apparently, maybe. But the point is that they no longer saw a need for civil disobedience and people going to jail.
Okay.
Well, about 25 of us, black and white, that was CORE members at the time, felt that that was the most effective strategy. And consequently, since the group since CORE, Congress on Racial Equality, no longer saw a need, we felt as if there was a need. And so as a result, we removed ourselves from from CORE, created Action, and then took on these large companies.
Right. And we got to make a short break, Percy. I'm sorry. Got to make sure, because so many stuff I want to talk to you about. I mean, so many things that you've done. I want to to expound on. But we're the New Life Evangelistic Center, 2428 Woodson Road in Overland, Missouri. Reverend Larry Rice and his staff have been feeding the poor, taking care of bills and so forth, so many different things for more than almost 50 years now. But they still need your help and support. And you may help us through Post Office Box 473, St. Louis, Missouri 63166, or online at www.newlifeevangelisticcenter.org. American Express, credits, cards, MasterCard, Visa, Discover Card. Takes less than 2 minutes for well-needed contribution and investment in New Life Evangelistic Center. Back with Percy Green after this.
Will you help New Life Evangelistic Center get back into 1411 Locust Street? Your tax-deductible gifts are urgently needed at this particular time, and there's many different ways that we're working to get back in that facility. One of the ways is to continue to inform the community through the Bernie Hayes Show and other programs. And if you haven't supported the Bernie Hayes Show and the work of New Life Evangelistic Center, please do it now. It's urgently needed. Your gifts are deeply appreciated. So many homeless people are waiting to get back into 1411 Locust, and so many others need the direct help that New Life is trying to provide at this time, but it's facing some real financial needs, and that's why your gift is very, very important. And to express our thankfulness for all of you that are sharing your gifts, we want to send you this special Bernie Hayes cup. It's my wife's favorite drinking cup. She loves to drink out of this cup, and this is actually the only coffee cup she wants to use is the Bernie Hayes cup. There's something very special about this cup, and we'll send it to each one of you that share a gift of $25 or more with the New Life Evangelistic Center and ask for your Bernie Hayes cup. It's P.O. Box 473, St. Louis, Missouri, that's 63166. Your gift will not only help us get back into the 1411 Locust building, but will help our first responders that are on the streets, the first responders that we have out there day after day, night after night. It will help keep our women and children in our safe houses, continue to keep our training programs open, our worldwide mission work, whether it's in India, Haiti, Africa, so many different things the New Life Evangelistic Center is doing. In addition to NLEC TV, tell your family and friends about it. Put it on your phone. Put on your get that phone app on all your friends' phones so that they can all see the Bernie Hayes Show, or go to 24.2. It's your prayers and gifts that make all of this possible. I thank God for those of you who continue to pray for the reopening of 1411 Locust and the work of New Life Evangelistic Center. There's so many obstacles we're facing as we try to help the homeless, but we're going to continue to give it to God. We're going to continue to pray. We're going to continue to work, but we need you to partner with us. So again, it's New Life Evangelistic Center, P.O. Box 473, St. Louis, Missouri, that's 63166. I thank God for each one of you that are praying, caring, and sharing.
Welcome back. My guest is Percy Green. Percy Green is a former leader of Action and also a member of CORE. And he's well known for so many wonderful civil rights actions and activities. But Percy, right now, your President, what's his name? Trump? He's saying that the demonstrations that are going on currently now about after the death of George Floyd and so many others, Tamir Rice, he's saying these are how does he refer to them as like you're demagogues, or like you're from left field and that you're hurting the country. Tell us your feelings about why they're protesting now, what the Black Lives Matter mean. And I know the Black Lives Matter is just an umbrella over so many other organizations, but give us your feelings on that, what's going on.
Well, first and foremost, I am elated. I am so proud to see the demonstrations in the streets, the protest demonstrations and whatnot, and the complexion of them, both black and white or whatnot. In some cases, you saw as many whites, in some cases possibly even more whites in the marches than you saw black, male, female, old, young. I mean, this is very, very significant and whatnot, Yeah. And then there's a high probability that with these street demonstrations, an enlightenment comes about, because people then want to know why the protest, and then response to that question comes enlightenment. Many folks now become very much conscious of something that many black folks has been aware of, certainly myself, about police brutality, because it hasn't just started. The the white community, or let's say, for instance, the white power structure and their instrument of the so-called police department has been abusing their authority toward black folks ever since it was created, and it was created out of slavery.
Yeah.
So hadn't anything really changed, you had a lot of time, many time. And then, of course, you have some of the whites that had had some conscience. Something has to be said about them, because they, what they did was they were silent. Yeah. And as a result of them being silent, that gave cover to the ones that abused their authority.
Mm-hmm. Okay. It seemed like a concerted effort to get rid of Kim Gardner. I know you support Kim Gardner.
Yes.
Tell us about this attack on Kim.
Well, I mean, again, you see the police department and the white power structure, they resent being held accountable for their abuse of authority, is what it comes down to. Kim Gardner, as well as all prosecuting attorneys and whatnot, she's about the only one here in this particular area that had decided to be fair in the utilizing of her authority and power as being a prosecuting attorney. I mean, she does not want to unjustifiably want to prosecute people on trumped-up charges. The police department has been known, especially among black folks and the black community, for them to abuse, for the police department, white policemen primarily, abusing their authority by virtue of them trumping up charges on people, black folks in general, and especially black folks that they dislike. Trumped up charges, and then many of them are serving time as a result of these trumped up charges. And so consequently, Ms. Gardner, she understood that, and of course, I mean, where those policemen trying to bring some of these fictitious charges to bear, she realized that and then refused to move forward on them. And then as a result, the police department, they get an attitude and they want to try to say that she's soft on crime. Yeah. She's not soft on crime. She's fair-minded. She wants to make sure that people are not being railroaded to jail on these fictitious charges that had been the case many times in the past. Mm-hmm.
You know, another thing that Percy Green does, and a lot of people are not aware of, you are very interested in what's happening with the St. Louis Public Schools, and you're a voter registration advocate. Tell us about those two things, especially why you interrupted some school board meetings some years ago because you didn't see the need for them to have outside board if there was an elected board. Is that correct?
Well, yes. I mean, it's very, very important for the public school system to be realized and be supported. Mm-hmm. Public school, but you have the white power structure trying to take over the public school system by virtue of trying to highlight charter schools. Yeah. Charter schools is a means that they are trying to privatize the public school system. Mm-hmm. And that is bad news. Privatizing meaning profit making, and the moment that you do that, then you're going to destroy the whole entire public school system. Yeah. So it seems like to me it stands to reason that the only reason why they're doing that, this is another form of racism, with the state of Missouri being primarily made up of of whites, there's seemingly Republican or whatnot. They don't have any concerns about the public school system now that most of especially in the big cities, the urban areas, the school system whenever the school system become predominantly white in terms of the student body, and then when the administration become predominantly black, then of course the white politicians, they want to take the monies that should be going into that would normally be going into public education. Mm-hmm. They want to take it away and use it in another manner.
Okay.
Another means.
I want to come back and ask you about some of the other things too.
Okay.
Percy Green is my guest. I want to tell you talk about voter registration when we come back and the importance of this coming vote in November. But we're at the New Life Evangelistic Center, 2428 Woodson Road in Overland, Missouri, 63114. And I want to thank Percy Green, who's, we're battling this COVID infection, and yet and still he took his time to come out here to visit us here. We'll be right back with Percy Green after this.
Don't just talk about the issues. Plan to make a big difference in behalf of candidates who really care. Candidates who care about the poor, the fatherless, the widowed, the hurting, the homeless, issues like morality and justice. They're all biblical issues, and there are so many good candidates that are out there that won't win if big money just gets in there and pushes them aside. You need to know the candidates, know the issues, and vote for those that are going to represent your biblical values. And those values include caring for migrants, caring for the immigrants and the hurting and the homeless and people that are in need. And that's why your vote is so very, very important. So if you're not going to be able to go to the polls November 3rd, you need to get your mail-in ballot now and get it there. If you hadn't registered to vote, do it immediately. But get involved, because without your vote, a candidate could get elected that's not going to adhere to those values that we all hold dear to us. And that's why it's so critical that not only you vote, but you encourage every member of your family to do the same thing. This is a historical election. Please get involved.
We'll return, I guess, after this Black History moment. Today's subject, Lou Brock, born 1939, an American professional baseball outfielder. He began his 19-year Major League Baseball career with the 1961 Chicago Cubs, but spent the majority of his big league career as a left fielder for the St. Louis Cardinals. Brock was inducted into the National Baseball Hall of Fame in 1985 and the St. Louis Cardinals Hall of Fame in 2014. He was a special instructor coach for the St. Louis Cardinals. Brock was best known for his base stealing, breaking Ty Cobb's all-time Major League career steals record and Maury Will's single-season record. Brock was an all-star for 6 seasons and a National League stolen base leader for 8 seasons. He led the National League in doubles and in triples in 1968, and he also led the National League in singles in 1972 and was a runner-up for the most valuable player in 1974. Lou Brock died at the age of 81, September the 6th, 2020. Lou Brock.
Hear this, you who trample the needy and do away with the poor of the land. Let justice roll on like a river, righteousness like a never-failing stream. You trample on the poor and force him to give you grain. Therefore, though you have built stone mansions, you will not live in them. Though you have planted lush vineyards, you will not drink their wine. For I know how many are your offenses and how great your sins. You oppress the righteous and take bribes, and you deprive the poor of justice in the courts. Seek good, not evil, that you may live. Then the Lord God Almighty will be with you, just as you say He is. Hate evil, love good.
Welcome back. My guest is Percy Green. And when we left, we were going to talk about voter registration and voting, the importance of this vote. How important is it to register to get voted now, Percy?
It is very, very important. I mean, that's another form of protest, of at least showing your likes or dislikes. So it seems like to me, I don't think that we're going to necessarily vote ourselves into absolute freedom, but nonetheless, that's just part of it. And I think right now, since the election is coming up, we certainly have to try to get to our young folks. Many of them had just recently graduated from high school. Many of them just turned 18. And so it becomes important to appeal to their better judgment in terms of at least going to the polls and voting. And you have some folks, black and white, who feel as if that voting is a waste of time. Well, I don't see how that is rational, but I think at this particular time we ought to give voting at least one more chance of doing what they think ought to be done. And I think the overwhelming majority of people feel as if that we need a change in the presidency. I mean, this guy that is in office, we need to at least indicate that he was there by way of a fluke. And the only way we can do that is vote him out of office. But in order to vote him out of office, we first have to turn out the vote, register, and then actually go to the polls and vote November the 3rd. And
I'm sorry, Percy. We got only a couple of minutes left. How can they reach you? How can they get in touch with Percy Green?
Oh, I can be reached at area code 314-533-1686.
That's 314.
They need to get in touch with. They need to get in touch with me because I have another demonstration that many folks can participate in called the Boo Crew.
Okay. It's the Boo Crew?
The Boo Crew.
Boo, okay.
You know, the Boo Crew.
Yeah, I understand, okay. Yeah. I mean, there's so many things coming up. I just want to get that in before we left out of here. But you're doing so many things. You know, the Organization for Black Struggle, you know, you're against the death penalty and so forth. So you're working with different groups.
Oh, yeah.
How do you find the time to do this?
Well, you know, I mean, it's like whenever ask a question, a lot of you know, new groups and then new participants, they want to know what the past has been like, and they want to know my opinion. So I usually give it, and then many times they act on it.
Yeah, I was noticing that, like I even introduced this program. When I call you, you're on your way to a meeting, or just come in from a meeting, or you're in a meeting. Even sometimes when I call. So, and I just say the activism that you portray is just
never
stunning.
A dull moment.
Yeah,
never a dull moment.
We all thank you. There's never been a time that we haven't thanked Percy Green. You've had so many tributes, so many presentations given to you in the past 3 or 4 years. I mean, they're finally recognizing who Percy Green is. And I just want to say, I'm so proud to know you, and I'm so glad that you came and visited us today, Percy.
Well, I want to thank you, Bernie, for giving me the opportunity to share my thoughts and experience with the community. And
they finally, at the Gateway Arts celebration, they had to include Percy Green, and that was so nice to see them do that. Yeah. Thank you, Percy, for all that you've done.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. I'm Bernie Hayes, and we're at the New Life Evangelistic Center. Reverend Larry Rice and his crew have been here for more than nearly 50 years, and they're trying to reopen 1411 Locust Street. They need your help and support. If you can bring by some water, some clothing, some socks, some hygienic items for those in need here at New Life Evangelistic Center. We're 2428 Woodson Road in Overland, Missouri. Our zip code is 63114. Between St. Charles Rock Road and Page, or even specifically right off Lackland Road and Midland. 2428 Woodson Road, Overland, Missouri. I'm Bernie Hayes. Continue to support the New Life Evangelistic Center. And once again, thank you, Percy Green. Have a great day.